Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Matea Rentia, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome, my friends. I am loving connecting with you on Fridays. Again, if you have not left me some feedback in the fan mail, just pop me an anonymous message. Let me know what you're thinking of these. I know we've had some colorful topics, but I'm not going to lie. I'm loving that we can just talk about different things that are going on. I spoke about this a little while ago on social, but I think that it's really good to talk about it here, which is if you're someone that's struggling with strength training, and that means you might just, like me, you just have a mental block to sitting down and doing these big chunks of it. And here's the thing. I think that we go in and out of favor with things. There was a period when I loved 3 times a week having this discrete strength training time, and then hunger got too high and I switched this, I switched that. And many times in my life have looked different with this. When I was in college, I actually had a trainer and I was doing all the machines, and you go through different phases. And right now, the only thing that's working for me is to break up my walks and include strength training in little increments all throughout it. And I have never been more sore. I've never gotten better results. I had actually lost some muscle because there was a period that I had taken off of strength training. It was purely hunger based. There are times when if my urges and cravings are too high or hunger is too high, or when my weight set point is dropping a lot, which is really not normal for me. Like anything 1 to 2 pounds a month to lose is quite rapid for me, just how my journey has gone. Yes, sometimes I do cut back on strength training just for me personally, because I need to be on top of nutrition first. And if my nutrition suffers, everything suffers for me. This is just over time I've learned, okay, when there's a fire ablazing, we need to handle it. Again, you listen to your healthcare team. But the thing that I want to just throw out is this: where in your life could you make it easier? So it occurred to me, this was available to me a long time ago. I was given the idea that's worked for me, where I'll walk a lap and then I'll do 10 squats. I'll walk a lap, I'll do 10 side lunges, moves for the arms, all that kind of stuff. I was given this idea a year ago. Are you shocked by that? Yeah, I'm just like giving you a second here to think. What I want you to realize is we have to be ready to receive information. We might have already received the information in the past. We need to be willing to continue to experiment, continue to iterate, continue to pivot, look at what's working, look at what's not. I knew, let me tell you the moment where I was like, all right, we're going to do this again, despite every little noggin in my brain not wanting to do it. Just there's this cognitive dissonance. We all go through this with certain things. I got back on that in-body. And I looked at what the skeletal muscle mass was doing and I said, enough, because the trend was not only a little down, it was a lot down. And so with me, I'm very responsive to when I do things. And so I let that data point say what is possible for me, because even knowing that data point, I still was not willing to go back to certain things with strength training. And so I said, all right, I'm willing to, ridiculous as I might feel at times in this public walking track, to do these different moves every so often. And it's made a radical difference for me. And then I'm able to build on it. And probably in a few months, I'll tell you how at that gym, I'm up to really heavy weights and using machines and doing all these things. That's great. But I want to throw out here today, if you're having a block with something, what's the easiest version? How can you make it easier on yourself? What's hitting the easy button for you? I did a whole workshop on this in a coaching program that I did, where it was just all questions that would sort of jog you into, how can I make this easier? This is in the 30-30 program. We go over this a lot. Listen, when you're up against resistance, you keep thinking that it's push harder, BS. The answer is decrease resistance. In some capacity, make it easier for yourself, make it more pleasurable, make it fit in your life better. That's what I want to leave you today with on Friday. At the end of the week, we tend to feel pretty defeated. We're pretty tired. We're pretty overstimulated. And all of that can be true. And I still want you to evaluate your week. I still want you to see how it went. If it went amazing, congratulations. You don't need to take any action. If it didn't go how you were expecting, or there's that thing that just keeps showing up. I'll give you an example. Within my business, I've been using here recently the project management system Trello. There's Asana, there's Trello, there's all these different ways of keeping track of things. And one of the reasons that I have gone back to using Trello, this was something I used years ago in a previous business, it's because they're basically, you make these boards where you can name like an overall project, but then there's these little columns and they're basically, think digital sticky notes. And yes, you can go in there and date and time and assign and do different things, but I have some tasks within my business that I'll get them done by Friday, but then again, next week they have to be done or looked over or whatever it is, right? I have a few weekly recurring tasks as well as monthly recurring tasks. I needed to stay on top of that. And I realized the to-do lists and the writing it down. Now I do partly use a written planner in addition to this. Okay. So there's multiple things I use, but that was the easiest version. Just literally slide these cards back and forth, depending on what time of the week it is and what's going on. Now I can just look there and I say, okay, yeah, through April, I've done this. I know what's happening versus before I had no idea. Let's take a strength example. I knew I had this block where intellectually I know I need to do it. Then I get on the scale. I see the muscle mass is down. I realize, okay, I have to do something. I'm not willing to go back to whatever version. And this was the easiest thing that I'm willing to do. And it's really worked for me. I just want to throw that out there that there is an easier way always. And just because it's easier doesn't mean you still don't get amazing results. I want you to noodle on that this weekend. Is there an easier version for one of these things where you keep hitting resistance? I want you to imagine with this resistance, if you had a rubber band, you have two fingers up and you're stretching it further apart, there's tons of tension. How do you relieve the tension? You have to bring the two things closer together. You have to decrease the step that you have to take. You have to decrease the discomfort in the new zone that you're going in. We need to make these baby steps, that 1% upgrade. So what is your easy button? All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Have an amazing weekend and we'll talk next week. That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode, easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend. I'm listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.